Yo, how is it going, Bears fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Bear Down Podcast, where we talk everything Bears every day of the week. I am your host, Chris Maltby, and I am joined today by my co-host, Jaylen McClinton. Jaylen, how's it going?
It's good. It's going good.
So today we are basically going to be giving our thoughts on round 2, or wave 2, of Bears free agency. There's been a lot of talk about safeties, some more O-lineman stuff, and then there was also a bombshell report that the Bears are looking at a lot of wide receivers and more pass rushers. So let's get right into it. First off, I think we have to start with the news from last night. This was on Thursday the 19th. Clinton-Dix agrees to a 1-year, $4 million deal with the Dallas Cowboys. Jaylen, did you see this coming? I feel like a lot of Bears fans saw this one coming. Did you see leaving Chicago as a thing that was going to happen?
So yes and no. I definitely didn't see him returning due to that. We were potentially looking at quarterbacks. Pass rush, O lineman. So I knew he wasn't going to be back, but I didn't think he was going to only get a 1-year deal from a team worth $4 million. This is only $500,000 more dollars more than we gave him last year. So I didn't think he was going to get 1 year. I thought he was probably going to get a multi-year deal. So yes and no.
I apologize for the coughing. I've caught a little bit of a cold. Don't worry, no coronavirus. Just a little bit of a cough. But yeah, I mean, this is something that I saw coming as well. Everyone wants Eddie Jackson back at that natural free safety position where he thrives, and I think that's exactly why the Bears didn't re-sign him here. I was also kind of surprised because I thought he was going to get a little bit more money than he ended up getting from Dallas. But good for him. I wish him the best. He was all right last year in Chicago. Obviously, we all know him for what he did to us Bears fans when Cutler was around, back when was in Green Bay his first couple of years. Was a nightmare for Bears fans. But heads to Dallas. Now, heading on to the next topic. This was a report by Eric Lambert of Sports Mockery last night. He was actually one of the reporters that was tipped off early about the Bears' interest in Teddy Bridgewater, and he was tipped off on that about a month ago. And he was told that the Bears are still very intimately looking at many prospects, those that include Robbie Anderson and Emmanuel Sanders. It was just reported today that Emmanuel Sanders actually is coming close to a deal with the Buccaneers, and he will go join Tom Brady in Tampa Bay. But Robbie Anderson's an interesting one. Now that Ha's gone, we've got safeties that we're apparently looking at in Von Bell and Tony Jefferson, and then pass rusher Marcus Golden, which would make this front seven even more dangerous. Jaylen, out of those mentioned names, which of those stand out to you, and which would you like to bring to Chicago?
I was always a big fan of Robbie Anderson. He's an undrafted wide receiver. He's very fast. He does have some off the field issues. He's been arrested a couple times since he's been in the league. Whether it's Foles or Trubisky, due to the released Taylor Gabriel, we really don't have another speed option. A deep threat. Miller is fast, but I wouldn't consider him a deep threat. So if we do sign a receiver, then I'm gonna put my money on Robbie Anderson. I can't believe Emmanuel Sanders signed with the Buccaneers though. He just surprised me with that one.
Absolutely, yeah. He hasn't signed there, but he is in contract negotiations with them, and he was also looking at the Chiefs. But Robbie Anderson's definitely an interesting one. There was interest that he was rumored to go back to New York to play with the Jets, possibly Green Bay, and now Chicago pops out here from a source that may not be absolutely credible, but has tipped some things off in the past. And Anderson, you got to think he would pair very well with Allen Robinson and Anthony Miller. Miller's a really pristine route runner. Robinson's the deep threat. And I think Anderson can do a little bit of both. I think he can provide as a deep threat, and he can also go up and catch contested balls like Allen Robinson. So that's something that's very interesting. Now let's talk about these safeties, Jaylen, if you won't mind for a second. Von Bell and Tony Jefferson. Jefferson has been tweeting about many different teams all week that he wishes to join after he was cut by the Ravens. And Von Bell is also someone that's a really solid option. So what do you think about those two guys? I know Cordarrelle Patterson's been on Twitter all week trying to get Tony Jefferson to come to Chicago.
Yeah.
Tony Jefferson said this morning on Twitter that he was going to check in with the Bears. What do you make of all of that?
Now, When Tony Jefferson was originally a free agent before he signed with not the Buccaneers, the Ravens. That was a dude that I really wanted during that free agency class. Like I thought he was going to come in and be a great safety for us, but he ended up signing with Baltimore, of course. Now that he's a couple years later after that he signed that contract with the Ravens, I feel like he would be definitely a complementary to Eddie Jackson. He's more of a box safety than HaHa was. He's a great run defender, can blitz when he needs to. So I feel like if we bring him in, that would be a great compliment to Eddie. Eddie can go back to his his natural free safety position where he was an All Pro just last year. So yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, we all know how productive Eddie has been at that free safety position, and I think either Bell or Jefferson would make for great additions. We're going to talk about Deon Bush a little later on in this episode, but yeah, I mean, both those guys are definitely interesting. And then finally, let's talk about one more. We've got pass rusher Marcus Golden from the Giants. He's a very interesting prospect as well. I think the Bears could get him for a decent price, and that would basically make this front seven the best in the league, I think, without a doubt. So what do you think about the possible interest there in Golden, even though we already brought in Robert Quinn?
Well, Golden, I think he could definitely be an interesting, pass rusher to sign. Just a couple years ago, or like I think it was the year that the Cardinals went to the NFC Championship. That season he had like 15 or 14 sacks, and that was only his second year. So just at that point in time, he definitely had potential to be something special in this league. Now he's definitely been through some injuries, and some, not having as much play time as he did in that season. So if we bring him in on like a cheap contract due to like we don't have that much cap space, and he gives us 6 or 7 sacks in the season, that could definitely be beneficial, especially if we sign him to a team friendly deal.
Absolutely. I mean, I think already looking at it, this front seven is going to be absolutely incredible. Finally, let's get into the news from this morning. So first off, let's go with Deon Bush. Bears re-signed him to a 1-year, $1.4 million deal. $4.4 million deal. What do you think about this one? I mean, Bush has been a pretty solid player off the bench for a while now. Do you think that was a solid deal?
Yeah. If I had to choose over HaHa and Deon, I probably would have chose HaHa because he's more a veteran. He's had more play time than Bush has. Bush hasn't really got to play in the 4 years that he's been on the team. He had a great preseason last year. Coming into the season before we signed HaHa, I thought he would probably be in the running to win that strong safety position before we signed HaHa. He's sat behind Eddie, Amos, HaHa since he's been on the Bears. He's learned from some great players. So if he can come in and have a chance to be the strong safety, I think he could be not. I wouldn't say he's probably going to be an elite safety, but somebody that's come in and make plays when he has to.
Absolutely. As far as he goes, I mean, obviously you think about how powerful and how dominant this front seven is looking to be, and you think he's someone that could definitely come in and start this year when you think about it. So Deon Bush, well-deserved contract, gets back on a cheap team-friendly deal, and we'll see what happens at the strong safety position. Now, let's get back into Tony Jefferson. Cordarrelle Patterson has been on Twitter literally all week, trying to tweet at everybody about having interest in Chicago. He's gotten a couple of responses, but the most prominent response has definitely been from Tony Jefferson. So this morning, Patterson tweeted at him, like how's it going once again? And he said, I'm going to have to check in with the team. So do you think there's contract negotiations going on there? Do you think the Bears are interested in him? And is Tony Jefferson someone that you would like to bring in?
I would definitely love to bring in Tony Jefferson. Now, I don't think contract negotiations are going on right now because it's just Twitter. Cordarrelle Patterson isn't Ryan Pace. He's not making. He's not, choosing who's on the team and who's not. But if it is, then that's something I can, definitely be happy for. Probably going to be like a, 1-year prove-it deal or, 2-year on a very cheap team-friendly deal. So if we do bring him in, I would definitely be happy about it. Like you said, this pass rush is going to be dominant this year, or it's supposedly be dominant. And so if we have a strong safety that can be back there and, play his position and do what he needs to do, this defense can be back on track.
Absolutely. He's a traditional box safety. He can come up, he can blitz, and that gives Eddie Jackson the ability to basically stand in the secondary, roam around, and do whatever he wants back there and be a playmaker. So that's definitely something that would be very interesting if the Bears did decide to bring in Tony Jefferson. Finally, we've got one more question, something I've been getting asked literally all week. Where is the O-line? What is going to happen with the O-line? So, Jaylen, I'm going to pass it on to you. Why haven't the Bears signed any offensive linemen? And do you think that's something that they're more focused on addressing in the draft?
If you would have asked me this a couple weeks ago, I would have told you no. I think we were going to come into this free agency paying offensive linemen and probably take one, early with one of our second-round picks. Doing that, we haven't did any of that. We focus on defense. We cater for Nick Foles and re-signing key players. So I definitely think we're going to focus on offensive line going into the draft. We need depth. We lost Cornelius Lucas. Rashad Coward is a restricted free agent right now. So I definitely could see us maybe potentially taking 2 offensive linemen with the first 2 picks in the draft. So, yeah, I'm very surprised Pace didn't, look to sign any type of free agent offensive lineman in this free agency class. Like that really did shock me.
Absolutely, and Pace has always been someone who's waited until the later waves of free agency to make some subtle yet positive moves. Buster Skrine and Mike Davis came late, and there's also been some other signings in recent years that have come late. And Pace really works in the dark, so we don't really know what happens. I know there will be some solid offensive linemen available still via free agency, but the draft is definitely somewhere to look as far as that goes. So that'll pretty much do it for this episode, guys. You heard our thoughts on the safety position, some wide receivers, Marcus Golden, Deon Bush, and what's going to happen with the O-line. Thank you guys for tuning in. You can find the links to all of our social media down in the description, and you can also follow the podcast on Instagram and Twitter at BearDown. For more coverage on the Bears, please do us a favor and check out our website, beardown.com. We're posting a ton of content on there, trying to push out great stuff to you guys, the fans who support us every day. That'll pretty much do it for us. Jaylen, any last words?
Wash your hands. Cover your mouth when you cough. If you sneeze, wash your hands. Stay safe out there. Please don't get the coronavirus. Like it's crazy right now. They're shutting down schools
Illinois,
and stuff. For the rest of the year, it's just crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. The state of Illinois did just announce a basically 2-week stay-at-home sort of announcement. So everyone's going to be inside. And the only good thing about that is we can keep pushing out content to you guys. But make sure everyone stays safe. The Bears did just announce that they are donating $250,000 to the Chicago Community COVID-19 Response Fund. So that is absolutely lovely. You love to see that. And that'll pretty much do it for us. Once again, stay safe, everyone, and be sure to bear down. Peace.
Peace.